Hello, guy. Hello, guys. Cartoon Retro Boy here, and welcome to the final part of SpongeBob SquarePants, Season 4 reviewed. We're just getting right in straight into this one because we have a lot of episodes to cover. Only 6 more to go. Thank 12 more to go. Thank segments to go. Thank goodness. Let's start off with something simple. Sold. This episode is about SpongeBob and Patrick thinking that their house is sold and has to live in the Krusty Krabs behind the Krusty Krab, and Squidward tries to keep them away from the Krusty from Conch Street as possible as ever, and try to move away as well. So, what's my thoughts on this episode? I enjoy this one, honestly. I do think it's a good 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10. Does a lot of good jokes. It reminds me a lot of Season 1 Opposite Day. It does give me some opposite day vibes, where the episode is about Squidward also moving away, and that episode also has a little bit similarity. Very similar jokes to similar. It's very similar to Opposite Day from Season 1. So honestly, Opposite Day is a pretty good episode as well. Though I think I might prefer this over Opposite Day, honestly, in my opinion. Still a good episode still. Still like that episode still. Like, no doubt. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the next episode. Episode 90, episode 190B, Lyman Fortune. Plankton basically makes fake fortune cookies that tells unfortunate lies, and Sponge and Patrick, sorry, not Sponge and Patrick, Sponge and Mr. Krabs has to give over the formula. This episode is a really good, unique one, honestly. And I think this is a good 8 out of 10. I really like this one a lot. Has a lot of good jokes, a lot of good humor, a lot of good storytelling, and I do like the jokes in this episode a lot. So, yeah. I have no complaints with this episode, honestly. A perfect 8 out of 10. Now we got the big one. The big one that was leading up to this very video. Goodbye, episode 200. Goodbye, Krabby Patty. This 22-minute special is about SpongeBob, about the Krusty Krab making frozen Krabby Patties out of filler, and it also tears up Sponge and Patrick's relationship as friends. This is one of my season 9 favorites, because generally this episode feels like emotional a little bit. It makes you feel like this might be the best episode when it comes to Krusty Krab getting a new thing and basically turning something into a new thing. Before going back to the status quo, like this feels like selling out from season 4, but as a special, honestly. And that's not a complaint, because I did enjoy selling out. Like, I thought it was decent. I wish there was a little bit more, honestly. I think it should have been shorter, honestly, or just a little bit faster paced, honestly. But I do enjoy this one more, because this one has a lot of good jokes. It has subplots, which you haven't seen that before in SpongeBob, besides SpongeBob versus the Big One. Subplots in SpongeBob are kind of something that we rarely see. For example, in the episode Sewers of Bikini Bottom, there was a subplot about Mr. Krabs, being in the Krusty Krab Stadium, which was a really great episode, anyway. Do enjoy that episode a lot. Oh, no, I gotta do something real quick. Let's take off his jacket. Honestly, you know what? As season 9's finale in airing order, I thought this was a great finale to the season, honestly. It felt like everything was leading up to this big moment for everyone. And as the 200th episode, I thought this was a great 200th episode. Way better than other SpongeBob milestones in the show. Because, like I said, this special feels like it does a lot of things. And honestly, you know what? I think this special could have actually been a TV movie, actually, if you had more stakes going on. But as it is, this would have been my favorite episode of season 9 if it was, if it was a 44-minute episode, because I think this would have benefited a lot of more runtime actually. As I think the reason why it's only number 6 on my list is because I feel like there's more episodes I like more, but this could have easily been number 1 if it was a 44-minute episode, like a TV movie type of deal, 1 hour special. I think a 1 hour special would have benefited Goodbye Cry Patty from being in my number 6 spot. But it's still an amazing episode, and I do recommend watching this if you're a SpongeBob fan, honestly. And I do think that the filler in this special doesn't actually do anything. I feel like sure, I will admit the butt jokes are kind of ridiculous in the special, but honestly, this special overall was a really great special. And I think it's a 10 out of 10, number 6 on my list. Oh, dang, we have a peak streak. We have a 3 peak streak trilogy. Oh, dang, the next 2 episodes are Peak Fiction 2. And so is actually we have 4 episodes of Peak Streak. Ooh, yeah. That is amazing. This will be awesome to talk about 4 episodes I really enjoyed this season. So this is out of 4 episodes that are in my Peak Streak of episodes. So this is basically the Peak Streak saga, season 9, where we have multiple banger after banger after banger after banger. What's next? Sandy's Nutmare. This episode is about Sandy. Selling peanut butter to the townspeople using her acorns. This is a very this episode is very experimental and very. It does feel simple, but I do think the environment's message it does is way better than SpongeBob's Last Stand, honestly. In fact, this feels like a much better version of SpongeBob's Last Stand because at least the message here is actually done and not shoved down our throats like in the special and like in that special. Like, don't get me wrong, I still like SpongeBob's Last Stand, but this episode feels like a better version of that if it was 11 minutes long and not a special like that one is. And I think this episode has a good message, and I really like the message it goes for, honestly. So, yeah, you know where this is going. 10 out of 10. Number 3 on my list. Number 3. Number 3 on my list. 10 out of 10. Number 3 on my list. Oh, next. Oh, dang. We have another episode that is in my top 6. Bulletin board. This episode is about the Krusty Krab getting a bulletin board. This episode is amazing. Let's just say that. It's just amazing. I have no complaints about this episode. It's just amazing. Has good writing, good filler, good humor. Patrick it's kind of fun to see Patrick be Patrick not knowing that he's PCR7, and it's kind of funny seeing the reveal it was Patrick the whole time, honestly. This episode is really good, and I do recommend watching this if you're a fan of season 9 or a fan of SpongeBob. So, another 10 out of 10, number 4 on my list. Oh, another one. Oh, actually, never mind. I skipped out 2 episodes of the 202 episode. Oh, so that's where our peak trilogy ends for a while until we get to Pineapple Invasion. So, Fu-Con Castaway. What can I say about this episode? This episode feels like a rehash of A SquarePants Family Vacation. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one, honestly. This might be my least favorite episode when it comes to them going lost in the forest. I feel like this episode doesn't really stand out compared to SquarePants Family Vacation. At least the SquarePants Family Vacation, that was a special, okay? That was a special. But this one feels like if it was, boring. Let's just say that. I don't know. Something about this one just doesn't feel right, honestly. At least the SquarePants Vacation had the excuse of being a special, so you know what? I guess I'll give them props for being a special. The writers for it being a special. But this one, I feel like if this was longer and actually it was extended runtime, this episode would have been much better, honestly. It would have been a standout from season 9, personally. If it was itsy bitsy longer, then I think this would have been this would have been at least a good 7 out of 10 instead of a 4 out of 10. So unfortunately, this goes into 4 out of 10. Snail mail. It's about SpongeBob trying to fly, even though fair point, it kind of contradicts the the Sponge Who Can Fly episode, where SpongeBob tries to fly with the jellyfish. I think it kind of retcons that, to be fair, which I wonder why they retcon that, because I thought that was, I guess SpongeBob has no continuity, so I can't be too harsh on it, but it kind of seems weird how you never learned from the Sponge Who Can Fly that all you need is friendship instead of just, needing to fly, basically. And SpongeBob can't drive, so how can he fly? You can't get your flying license before your boating license. So yeah, I do think the twist is a little stupid, to be fair. Like Patrick, of course it would be Patrick, of course. I mean, duh, Patrick is a dumb boy. So what I expect from him. But he is pretty likable here too. And his rambling about his list of seeing what he wants to see is kind of funny. And him listing more things is kind of funny. But overall, I do think it's a 7 out of 10, I think. It's not standout from the other episodes, but I do think it's good, at least. So, 7 out of 10. Another good one. Next up, Pineapple Invasion. Oh boy, I am about to get so close to getting... This is basically the finale of the peak streak. The peak saga of season 9. Pineapple Invasion is just basically shellback shenanigans, but actually good and amazing. This episode has so much good comedy, so much good writing, so much good visual stuff, and the visuals are the best part of this episode. Seeing what it's inside of Gary's shell is kind of something I would not expect, honestly, and seeing Plankton just go through the shell and seeing how much stuff there is inside, and then it turns out to be just a hallucination. This is what I mean by I think the show knew how to do creative visuals in the newer seasons, because man, they went off the walls with this type of thing. Because man, I just love seeing the visuals in this episode in Gary's shell. It just looks so clean, so vibrant, and so creative. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Modern SpongeBob knows how to have creativity and actually have fun and use visual places. And that's one of my favorite parts of this modern SpongeBob is visual places and visual gags and visual and locations that were never explored before, or trying to do something that's visually creative. That's why I'm not a SpongeBob hater. I'm not a SpongeBob boomer hater or modern SpongeBob hater. So, you know what this is going? 10 out of 10, number 2 on my list. Great episode. Amazing episode. Great Plankton. This might be one of my favorite Plankton episodes of the entire show for me. Right next to Plankton's Army, of course, and Karen's Baby, honestly. Those were 2 good episodes, honestly. There's a lot of Plankton episodes that are really amazing in this era of SpongeBob, in this modern era of SpongeBob. Except for Ghost of Plankton, of course. I don't like that episode, honestly. Oh well. Anyway. Let's see. What else can I say about the series? What else can I say about Oh no, I have the next episode. Oh my goodness. What did I do to deserve this? Guys, I'm gonna admit this episode is dumb. Salsa Imbecilicus is just stupid, dumb humor. You know how mixed I am on dumb humor, honestly. If you guys don't know, I am mixed on dumb humor sometimes, because it can work sometimes, but there is other times where it doesn't work with me. That's why I don't like Nitwitting from season 12, because I don't really like how it used dumb humor in it. And it's just plain brain dead, honestly. And that's why I don't like that episode too much. So we'll get to there when we get to there, because honestly, this episode feels like the prequel to Nitwitting, honestly. where the episode may suck, but it's not as bad as Nitwitting, honestly. But I'll give this to Salsa and Mephilicus. The team up of Karen and Plankton is sorry, not Karen and Plankton. Karen and Sandy is pretty cool. That's why I'll admit that. But the rest of the episode is just it's just confusing. As a confusing story, it doesn't. It's just a rushed out story, and it's just kind of dumb. So a 2 out of 10. Not really impressed by this one. Mutiny on the Krusty. Oh my goodness. How can you make me so annoyed at Mr. Krabs for 11 minutes long? Granted. Now, I'm gonna do a video on Mutiny on the Krusty later this video, because I don't even want to explain why I hate this episode. Just there's many people who hate Mutiny on the Krusty because there's just so much that is annoying about Mr. Krabs in this episode. Him being unlikable is just annoying in this episode, honestly. And hearing him just talk about money and just being greedy and stuff, it's just him being a tyrant. And I don't like tyrants in cartoons at all. I really don't. That's why I don't like the episode No Guts, No Glory from Loud House, because it feels like Mutiny on the Krusty, but honestly, if that episode was, it's not as bad as Mutiny on the Krusty, but it's still a pretty bad episode, though. But Mutiny on the Krusty is just annoying. It's just annoying. It's frustrating. It's just... No. Him and they barely even explore the new location they go into. Yes, that what bugs me about this episode is how the characters barely explore the new location with monsters and stuff like that. And they just like to stay in the Krusty Krab for the whole time. It's just them being, just licking around in the Krusty Krab, honestly. For the whole runtime. It's not creative, not funny, it's just them arguing. That's all they are. Just arguing. It's just annoying. It's like Big Sister Sam all over again. And don't get me started on Mr. Krabs' behavior in this episode. He is such a tyrant in this episode. It's so annoying to listen to him just constantly be a tyrant. And it's frustrating to hear. And when he does, and when Squidward even gets to be the captain, when Squidward gets thrown into the monster, which I do think the townspeople are idiots for doing that. Even though Squidward's being a little cocky, though. As soon as Mr. Krabs returns in the story, it seems like that you think, oh, he would save everyone. But no, at first he does not. He doesn't save them until SpongeBob grabs his first dime, which also, I'm gonna be honest, on that dime, that's continuity error. Like, his first dime was a freaking stone, and can you spare a dime? How stupid can Nickelodeon can be sometimes, I swear. It's just annoying. Yeah, this episode just sucks. I'm just gonna say that episode sucks. It really does. It really sucks. Mutiny on the Krusty is just bad. Even Robin the channel doesn't like this episode. Which here's some footage of this.
This game's kind of dangerous.
Here we go.
Mutiny on the Krusty. A rip current is blowing over the Krusty Krab, and everyone is anxious that they'll be caught in it. But Mr. Krabs refuses to let the customers leave the restaurant, regardless if they're at risk or not. They soon start a revolt on Krabs as they're caught in the current, and eventually he gets separated from everyone else, and they all find themselves in an exotic forest. Most of Mr. Krabs' appearances can be a bit of a coin flip, no pun intended. Sometimes his cheap nature can make him funny at times, but it could also make him look really greedy. And this episode might just be the worst offender. Not once did I find any of his antics all that funny. And the fact that he acts like this throughout the entire episode is even worse. Like, the only real reason he helps everyone out is just so he can get paid. I get he's supposed to be cheap, but that doesn't make it funny. In fact, I was mostly siding with everyone else who was against Mr. Krabs. And the fact SpongeBob had the audacity to defend him is even more infuriating. Like, he's just acting like a suck-up at this point. I'd say the joke with the hat patty was kind of funny, but other than that, this episode just feels like a waste of time. And it's easily the worst Mr. Krabs appearance I've seen this far.
Well, that was
See, there is people who hate this episode just as much as I do. And Mutiny on Krusty is just overall a pretty bad episode, honestly. It makes Mr. Krabs look so unlikable. This is one of my least favorite Mr. Krabs appearances because I swear, this episode doesn't feel like Mr. Krabs personally. And this is why I hate Mr. Like, bro, Season 9 had 2 Mr. Krabs appearances that are 1 out of 10s, and both of them were pretty bad as the other. What the heck? Okay, yeah. You know what? Mutiny on Krusty gets a 1 out of 10. Number 47 on the list. Because, man, this episode sucks. I'm just saying that right now. Mr. Krabs is a tyrant. I don't like him in this episode. And he's just annoying in this episode. It's just, what is so funny about Mr. Krabs being cheap in this episode? There's nothing funny about him being cheap. And overall, I don't like this episode. It's just frustrating, annoying, and just, ugh. Like, okay, I think you get the picture. I hate this episode. Because I really do. It's just Mr. Krabs being cheap. It's just Mr. Krabs being a complete a-hole for no reason whatsoever. Sorry for using that word. But still, it's just Mr. Krabs being a cheap boss for no reason whatsoever. And and like I said, this episode is not worth it. It's not worth it at all. It's really not. It's just him being a complete jerk for no reason whatsoever. So that is why I am giving I'm giving this episode a pretty bad score. I do not enjoy this episode. Even Nathaniel Bandy hates this episode too.
Nothing episode I've seen yet. Next. 47. Mutiny on the Krusty. We've got a ripped current coming through and Krabs is not concerned about it. In fact, he's not letting anyone leave unless they spend money. See, this is what I'm talking about when Krabs goes way too overboard with his greed. It's not fun to watch him be a dick all the time. As this is happening, the current picks up the Krusty Krab and Spongebob turns the place into a ship. But Krabs is stuck in a barrel and gets launched outside. So Squidward becomes captain, and they land in some exotic place with a monster. He ends up getting eaten and Krabs returns, but is in a pissy mood because nobody will pay him to help. This is as bad as SpongeBob having no sympathy for Gary when he was about to be eaten. He's being so obnoxiously greedy that all you can do is hate him. He only ends up helping because SpongeBob threatens to spend his first time, and then Krabs beats up the monster. This episode was awful. It wasn't funny at all, and the whole thing is a mess.
See, this is what I mean. This episode sucks that it's honestly, that's why people hate Mr. Krabs in this episode, because he's just a tyrant. And it's not funny seeing him being a tyrant because he's just being greedy. And, like, this episode might even be worse than, this might be just as bad as SpongeBob You're Fired. Actually, no, not a 1 out of 10, number 47 on the list. Number 48 on the list, and 1 out of 10. Because, man, Mr. Krabs, it makes me hate Mr. Krabs in this episode. But thankfully, this is the last episode I actually hate in this season, because the other episodes are pretty tamed in this season. And so is Fishbowl as well, actually. I think this is Season 9B's most infamous episode, actually. Second most infamous episode. And I can see pretty dang why, because Mr. Krabs is just so greedy and so tyrant-ish in this episode. Ugh. Okay, I think I'm done. We have one more episode left before we go into the wacky era of SpongeBob. The wacky seasons. So, what's my final score? What's the last episode we have? We finally have the whole tooth. 7 out of 10. I have nothing to really say about this one, but fun fact, this episode came on my 6th birthday. That's neat. I kind of find it funny how it came on my 6th birthday, honestly. Like, that's very weird, how this episode came on my 6th birthday, honestly. But I'm not complaining, because it's just something I noticed, honestly. Like, I find that funny how it came on my 6th birthday, honestly. Which I find that pretty funny and kind of clever. Like, it came out on my 6th birthday. Honestly, I have nothing to really say about this one, because I do think it's pretty good, but it's not really seeing the night stand out, honestly. some of the gross things in this episode is kind of gross, honestly. Like, such as Patrick putting his nose and, like, putting the straw, putting it, like, smoothie up a Krabby Patty, and then he just used his nose to pick at the straw, and then sucking it up in his nose, and then just letting it flow in his mouth. I find that disgusting. It's just gross. And so is the close-up of that woman's teeth, too. The lady's teeth in the one scene where SpongeBob chases Patrick. And probably also I think the worst, I do think that the only two gross out parts of this episode, because I think the episode is pretty tamed. I do think the episode is pretty tamed, honestly. I just wish that they could have, and also the chump gag with Squidward's teeth falling out. Yeah, that was kind of gross too. So overall, I do think it's a, overall, I'm trying to say, overall, as a season finale, I think it's decent. Simple one, honestly.
Wow. Oh, he has wings and shit. Aww. Goodbye, Patrick's baby tooth.
At least we're getting season 10, though. I'm so thankful. Because even though season 10 may be mediocre at best, I do think it's still at a good attempt, honestly. Oh well. Overall, I do think the season 9 is a decent season. Very close to season 4's quality, honestly. What holds it back, though, is the three bad episodes, because, they're not necessary, honestly. Sponge You're Fired is the worst offender of this, because I really hate that episode. I really do. I really, 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 really do. So is Mutiny on the Krusty and Little Yellow Book, honestly. So, yeah, I think that ends season 9, honestly. I do think it's a decent season that doesn't have anything that's really big, but I do think it's a decent season. So, yeah, season 9. I would rank it number 6 on my list. Probably, I think season 16 might be close behind season 9, I'll be honest. So, yeah, season 9 is decent. Overall, decent season. Nothing to complain about, honestly. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Cartoon Retro Boys out.